Well, welcome back again. We are in our second part of our two-part wonderful time with Dr. Ben Garber. Last time we talked about the general structure, why structure is so important, how decreasing anxiety results from the ability, if we have good structure in our systems, and especially for divorcing families and for professionals. We thought we'd split it into two. And so, welcome back again. We're going to do a little bit shorter version, but talk about what this structural implication is, what that means for parents and different professionals in terms of like how we actually make practical use of this theoretical idea.
Glad to. Sure. Lead the way, Krista. Where do we start?
Well, we talked a lot about all the great work you're doing with diffuse divorce and advanced orientation, which I will send you back, everybody, to the last episode to listen to what that means. But essentially, the premise, just for people who maybe didn't hear, is that structure is so important. What do parents need to know about the structure that helps kids too? Not just, is there something in the parenting that they're doing that
Sure.
additionally helps decrease anxiety for children?
I am not a fan of all of those cool nouveau types of parenting out there, the free range, whatever it is, the permissive, make him my best friend. And with all of my heart, and after 40 plus years of study and experience, uh, completely believe that a parent's first job is not to make their kid happy. And I get a lot of people who genuinely believe I'm wrong. A parent's first job is to help their child be healthy. And that distinction is important because part of being healthy is learning how to manage unhappiness in all of its different forms, not just limits, but boundaries, roles, rituals, they all have consequences. When you're late for a meeting, when you disrespect your elder, when you use the restroom for the opposite gender or a different gender.
You use the idea of Russian nesting dolls, or these nesting dolls where each part of our systems and of our lives have different structure. And I'm just looking now for, what does that mean? I'm a parent getting divorced. We've got these precious children who mean more to us than anybody else or any other thing in the world. What can I do better? And what if, as a family law attorney, a mental health professional, a judge, what can I do better? How do I incorporate structure to make the outcomes better for kids? So you take that how you want. I think we should focus mostly on parents, but I'm interested too on the professionals, what your advice to them would be, real time advice for how we make this better for the people stuck in these hard systems that we have in divorce land.
Self-care is key. I'm talking to professionals, I'm talking to parents, I'm talking to kids for that matter, because if you haven't, let's say it in terms of let's talk about cars for a second by analogy. You got to keep your tank full. Some people are more like Hummers. That is, they get uh,
They're
10,
gas
ga-
they're gas guzzlers.
10 gallons to the mile. And other people, typically more mature, better self-regulated people, are more like Priuses. They get 100 miles to a gallon. Growing up is the process of moving from being a Hummer to a Prius. Babies are supposed to be like Hummers. Babies are really needy. They got to be refueled constantly. Structure diminishes anxiety and helps people improve their mileage, go further on less. Parents in the midst of separation, divorce, and contested custody often relied on their partner and everything associated with their partner to get their tanks filled. Now that's gone. It's easy in that circumstance to say, I'm okay, I'm fine, doesn't matter. I'll just like go without sleep, go without food. I'll do everything. Don't worry, I'm a grown up. I got to take care of the kid. and you end up burning yourself out. The stress will eat you alive, cause you both physical and mental health deficits, which ultimately will harm your child. Parents who are able to structure their own lives, to eat healthy and routinely, to exercise healthy and routinely, to sleep healthy and routinely, not only are keeping their own tanks full, but are modeling healthy structure and self-regulation for their kids.
What if the parents didn't have good structure before when they were together?
Yep. Regardless of the legal status or even the cohabitation status of parents, together or apart, single or multiple or serial or whatever kinds of parents you got, kids grow up in unstructured environments all the time. And I would venture they tend to be more anxious. People cope with their anxiety and show their anxiety in lots of different ways. So I'm not necessarily talking about terrified, timid, agoraphobic, or anything of the sort. Some people who are very, very anxious become perfectionists or super critical or narcissistic, but there's anxiety at the core of all of those things. So what about the family where mom and dad split up and they engage in implicit bidding war for the child's affections that goes like this? Mom serves pancakes and syrup for breakfast. So dad serves pancakes with chocolate chips baked in them with syrup for breakfast. So mom serves just the chocolate chips for breakfast. So dad serves M&Ms for breakfast and mom serves M&Ms on ice cream for breakfast. And we slide down this slippery slope where all the structure goes out the window because the parents selfishly want their kid to say, I love you best, mom or dad. That's abusive. That's selfish. That's bad parenting, at least. The dilemma, of course, is for the parent who holds to their structure and the child comes into his or her care and says, I'm not coming here anymore. Mom lets me have ice cream and M&Ms for breakfast and you make me eat my Wheaties. There's a trap there, parents, because I don't want you to say your mom's an unhealthy eater, or your mom's bribing you, or your mom is a schmobutt of any sort. That's DSM-6 language. Sorry to pull it on you there. Uh, I don't want you to say something like, "Well, okay, I'll let you. You'll stay here if I serve M&Ms for breakfast too." We're not bidding for our kids' affections. You can respond. It's really tough with mom and I living apart, or it's confusing, isn't it? Or, well, that sounds yummy over there, but we do things differently here. But don't engage in the in the in the implicit power struggle, in the bidding war. Parenting is about helping your kid be healthy, not necessarily happy. Happy is a really nice side effect, but children need to learn how to tolerate frustration and failure, disappointment. Consistency is a form of structure. Predictability is a form of structure. When co-parents living apart are able to communicate, cooperate, and establish parenting consistency, they need less structure. For example, their parenting plan, because a parenting plan is just a court-ordered structure, but they need less explicit structure because they're able to tackle those oopses and the loopholes. Look at that. The parenting plan didn't anticipate what happens when my birthday and Christmas fall on a non-school Monday and the moon is in the seventh house. Where should the kid be? And I could tell you horror stories. I'm sure you could match all of them about those sorts of things. So
And
these
and that
parents,
and that sounds like a joke, but that's actually what happens. That's
absolutely.
actually what happens is like,
Yeah,
what are we gonna do? And we have to go pay thousands of dollars to somebody to figure this out. It's crazy.
after the fact, and not to mention bail the parent out of jail. Um, so You know, parents like this on the cooperative, communicative, structured end of the spectrum, they can say, "Oh, there's an oops. Let's talk about it. We'll figure it out. How about if this? How about if that?" They figure it out. Parents who can't do that on the other end of that spectrum, the less structure, more self-involved, win, lose, black, white, anxious parents, they need the structure externally imposed. They need a parenting plan, for example. The word in my vocabulary is bulletproof. They need a parenting plan that the court and their lawyers have put hours and hours and hours into crafting, anticipating every possible scenario, because the likelihood that they can solve it on their own is very, very low.